Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, and in this video, we'll be looking at how to go from a repeating decimal to a fraction by hand. So it is possible to do if you've ever wondered. However, it is kind of hard to do because depending on what kind of question you have, it might have pretty big numbers. Um, but we'll see. Uh, One of my favorite numbers is 273, so how about we'll do this? This is probably a more complex one than you might have to do. But let's say we have 1.273, but the 7 and 3 are the only things that are repeating, not the 2, and obviously not the 1. But how the heck do we make this into a fraction? Well, the first thing that you do is this. Take away that freaking thing on the top. So sorry, let's pretend like it doesn't have that thing. And isn't this equivalent? You basically separate the numbers that don't repeat from the ones that do. So the why I made this a different color is so you can easily see that the way to do this. We put the 1.2 here and then it needs to be 0.073. You replace the digits with zeros. See, the 1 and 2 are now zeros. And if you add this together, yes, you do get this. So that's a true statement there. And this is also a true statement. Now, if we add that thing back, this is the same thing. What this means is going to be plus 0.07373, like that. That's what that means. So now what? Now we actually say we don't want that whole long thing. Let's actually separate it into parts even more. And so we have this part that's the same as here. And then how do we get to the next? We replace the 7 3 with zeros and add another 7 3. So now you see the green. Now there's two extra zeros here. Then you do it again. Replace those blue with the zeros and add another 7 3, and you would keep doing that. And if you did that an essentially infinite number of times, you would finally get the true value of this. But that's not what we're going to do. There's a simpler thing than that. The thing about these repeating numbers is that each one of these, um, you there's a number that you multiply to get to the next. And it's going to be the same every single time. So how do you find that out? You just divide the smaller one by the bigger one. So which just means you do this. So you see this one right here, we do that divided by that. And if you do that, you get 0.01. Now if you divide this one by this one, so you basically divide the one you just found by the previous one. And we don't even need to check it more than that many times. Two times is enough to know that every time you will multiply by 0.01. And you might be thinking, I couldn't do that by hand. You actually can. This is something you can do by hand, but I'm just not going to show that in this video. Yeah. Anyways, so this 0.01 value we're going to call R, and then we're going to call this first thing that we had A, the first time we did the thing where we separated it. That's A. And since the absolute value of R is less than 1, um, we are able to use this equation. A um, equals, or sorry, 0 point, this is going, I'm sorry, there's actually, here, this is, now it's right. 0 0.073 with the 7 3 repeating is going to be equivalent to A divided by 1 minus R. That is a true statement. Um, and this is exactly what we need to find because for this to be true, it's going to be 1.2 because the 1.2 doesn't repeat. We don't care about that. Plus, there's 0.073. So it's going to be equivalent to this. So we can use this equation simply because the absolute value of R is less than 1. If you don't understand that, that goes down to calculus. It converges, but we don't care about that if you don't mind. So that's just a true statement. So we plug in that equation. So we do 0.073 divided by 1 point, or yeah, 1 minus 0.01. Sorry, I can't speak correctly. And obviously that's equivalent to this. Now let's make it fractions because if we're doing this by hand, that's what we want to do. So it's going to be 73 over 1,000 divided by 99 over 100. Hopefully you know how to convert that to fractions. Not that hard to do. And obviously we can flip this thing around and multiply. You know that, state change flip. And we multiply these numbers and we get pretty big numbers. That's what I'm talking about. It can be kind of hard. You get 7,300 divided by 99,000. And don't forget that you have to add this 1.2 because remember it's over here. This only calculates the 0.073 plus the 1.2 is what we need to get this. Now, let's make the 1.2 into a fraction so that we can add these. So it equals 12 over 10. Now we have to find a common denominator, and the common denominator between these is 9,900, or sorry, not, yeah, 9,900. So if you multiply 10 by 9,900, you get 99,000, and you multiply 12 by 9,900 to get 118,800. Obviously, it would take a long time, but you could multiply these all out by hand. Now you add these together, you can add these together because they have the common denominator of 99,000, and you get 126,100 divided by 99,000. And if you divide the numerator into the denominator by 100, you get 1261 over 990. And if you want that as a freaking mixed number, it's 1 uh and 271 990ths. And that's the answer. So, obviously, no one said it's going to be easy. That's the way that you do it. So, just to wrap this up, a review of the steps, you first separate it out, the thing that doesn't repeat plus the thing that does. Then you just make a couple terms like this where you replace the repeating numbers with zeros each time. Then you figure out what it multiplies each time um, to get it, and that happened to be 0.01. That's R. A is always going to be the first time you separate it. And if R is less than 1, which it always will be, in this case, absolute value of R, you simply do this, A divided by 1 minus R, and from there it's just simply making things into fractions and common denominators and there you go. That's how you do it.